Today, we're going to be going talking with Novopangea. We're going to show some stuff about the game that you have not seen, some core loop ideas, and the UI. I'm really excited to be interviewing Warwick and show his idea. He is the project leader / visionary on this project. And let's go ahead and just jump right in and get started. All right, so today we have Walk on the air on my first interview ever, so sorry if I'm kind of a little all over the place. It's so crazy that this week I think I've had about 5 or 6 requests to do interviews, and I've done YouTube over 6 years and never got one. So I don't know what's happened, but you are my first one, and how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Well, I think it's just a reflection of your awesome content that you're putting out. So I'm not surprised that you're getting hit up for interviews, man. So I appreciate the opportunity to go through the game in a bit more detail today, and hopefully we can show a few more things that we haven't covered yet. So, but I'm excited to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, welcome. I'm excited to see this. I've been following this game for a while, and I love that Novopangea takes kind of a different aspect from other games, which I'm really excited to talk more about. And I wanted to kind of mention a lot of my audience knows that I'm making my own collection, not really game. I'm hoping one day maybe I could turn it into a game, but it's just me, so I don't know if that's going to be possible. But I was wondering what you were thinking in the beginning when you decided to make the game.
Yeah, no, it's a really good question, and I think it's interesting the point of view that you've taken, because when we first got started, the collection part was extremely important to us, and so this project is very much, it's a game rooted in story. The story aspect is going to be super important. So I think it's a really great place to start when you're kind of getting your project off the ground, because it allows you to kind of flush out a lot of different maybe characters or creatures or what, obviously depending upon your genre, of course, whatever that's going to look like. So I think, knowing myself, I'm a huge more sports card collector. So we looked at a lot of different collections and collectibles as well, and how a lot of the major brands off chain go to market. And I think, collections are awesome. And we're planning to do a lot more around just pure collecting, sorry, and collections and different subsets and inserts and parallels, and a lot of stuff that you see in cards off chain, we want to bring on chain. So I think at the end of the day, it's a great place to start before you want to start to really get into game development and all that kind of stuff, because it takes on a whole new beast when you do.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited, and I was like, maybe I could even do this myself. And I started looking into programming and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I just don't have the time to learn all that and everything. But maybe one day, I can find someone and work with them, or I don't know. I've been
Yeah, I
playing.
mean, it's
Sorry.
odd, man. It's odd. No, it's. I was just going to say it is tough. So it's very the smart contract stuff is very, very specialized. Especially building on Wax, because it's a more older programming language of C++. So yeah, it's highly specialized now. So it's certainly, if you don't have the expertise, you're going to have to go and find the guys that do. So
Yeah, and I'd be worried that I'd mess up something with security because there's just so much stuff. I know Wax just said something like they're putting $8 million into their code, so that's kind of nice. They just announced that like 2 days ago, I think. So maybe
yeah.
that'll get more updated soon.
Yeah, no, it's going to be ongoing, man. So, I mean, it's just the nature of the space. I mean, the code's got to get better, more efficient, faster, more secure. So, I think it's great that we're seeing that investment being made in the infrastructure.
As always, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a gamer, but with Nova Pangea, we do have a special going on, and I will let Woke introduce that.
Yeah, so just really quick, wanted to do something cool for your community, Kev. So, wanted to offer a promo. So, if players want to get some packs, if you purchase a producer pack, we'll give you a writers pack free. Or if you purchase 3 writers packs, we'll give you another writers pack free. So what we've done on our website, if you head over to Novopangea .io. Okay, so if you head over to novopangea.io, you'll see in the bottom right corner here, there's this red customer service intercom icon. So if you click on that, it's going to open up our customer service bot. If you're having any challenges with this, you can typically just open the chat and then just so you can kind of see here, secret promo code. So this is where you type it in, Kev, and then it's just going to drop you down to the next box. It'll appear here. Enter in your Wax wallet, and then just the last box that'll appear is your Wax blocks. So just enter that information. That will come through to us through the customer service bot here. And then someone on the other end, when they've actually sent it, will send you a message saying, "Hey, your pack's on the way," and we'll airdrop that to you. So wanted to offer that, Kev. We'll run this for a week post when you post your video. But yeah, just wanted to do something cool for your audience.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it.
No worries, man.
Awesome. So, one thing that I've always worried about with games, and a lot of other people do, is the longevity of games, because we see a lot of these games pop up and we're all into it and it's good for about a month. And then within month 3, you're noticing it start to fade and kind of disappear at that point. How will Novopangea be different and stay balanced?
One of the big things that we wanted to really lock in on was how to avoid that exact question. And we did a lot of observing. I mean, before we even sort of took off into this whole, let's build a game mode, we were just really active Wax customers last year. We looked at a lot of games, played a lot of games, participated in a lot of projects, and observed exactly what you said. And these economies were just becoming hyperinflationary so fast. And it's the nature of the Web3, unfortunately, is this it's highly complex. When you have NFTs, you have different player personas or customer personas, buyer personas, whatever you want to call them, because you have people coming in and out, selling NFTs going up and down, and that all impacts then how things move in the game. Then you've got all the resources and how those are constructed. And so it's very, very challenging. And then obviously, if the user base starts to accelerate quickly, what can happen? So, and obviously, Farmers World's a good example, of something where, that user base just grew so fast, and the secondary market just exploded to a point where it just turned into a runaway train. And and obviously I'm not saying anything anybody didn't see or know, but obviously those stone axes, which were kind of the base inventory point, just got to out of control levels. And then a huge correction happens, and the game just starts to tip over at that point. So I know there was obviously more complexity than that, but fundamentally those were some of the things that we saw. So for us, we made the investment into a company called Machinations. So Machinations, what they've produced is modeling for Web3, Web3 games. They started off in the free-to-play space where they would sort of build the progression systems for games. And then they advanced out into Web3. And so what we're able to do is essentially model our in-game economy. And so we're able to build it from the very, very start, from when you purchase an NFT, transfer it into creator credits, move it into the game, and then we have all of our in-game resources. So we're looking at all of the factors of the game, player personas, what a whale might do, what happens if a whale liquidates everything, what happens if the user base just accelerates really fast. So we can simulate thousands of hours of gameplay in the model and kind of see then what happens if resources start to become hyperinflationary. Then we know where potentially the yields are too high and we need to adjust them. All of those things can be taken into consideration, and that really gives us a more proactive approach to the project. So when we go live, we will be getting real-time data that's coming into the model. So we've obviously made a lot of assumptions about what we think a particular person might do, how they're going to potentially move their assets in and out. We need to get that data when the game starts to see how close and accurate we were, and then really make the adjustments at that point to our tables so we can say, okay, these are more the real percentages right now. What happens now? And so then that really will give us a forecast of 3 or 4 months out, and it'll tell us like, you're gonna either A, stay the course, you should be good, or B, you might have some problems. You might want to adjust some things now to prevent that from happening in the future. And it's really that, honestly, Kev, the proactive nature of leveraging data to make sure that you're staying the course is what projects are not doing right now. Everything's very reactive and aggressive, in terms of the change that they're making to try to course correct. Sorry, that was a long answer to your question.
No, it's all good. I like to hear it, and I'm glad you mentioned whales because I do feel whales are probably the biggest thing that can offset a project, especially if they are a big whale. They could really, do a lot of work. So it's interesting to see how you're going through and doing all that.
Yeah, it is, man. So I mean, I can even show you guys some of the core game loops in this model if you want to take a peek.
Awesome. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, so this fundamentally is the core game loop, really, of Novopangea. There's a lot more detailed models that are living underneath this one, but this is really kind of the core game into itself. Where so this is kind of where it starts right here. If you think about the Novopangea project, you've got the story mode, which is really our where we're selling the cards, right, in the packs. And so and then person's gonna buy those. They'll turn into creator credits and you'll redeem them for in-game assets. And then you have the whole transferring of creator credits into land or buildings or workers. And then your loops start to begin. So you've kind of got obsidian that's being drained out here for land and buildings and all this kind of different stuff. You've got resources that are going in and out of the game, and over here is kind of where you've got sort of the production that's happening out of the building. So as the building's kind of running, it's going to produce resources. You've got upgrades here as well. Obsidian over here that's being traded for the various materials. So here's kind of simulating the materials being traded in and out. So this is kind of really like at a very, very high level how things kind of interact with each other. And so you can actually run the model. So you can kind of see here things are starting to move around now. So
Hmm.
trades are happening, buildings are getting staked. So this is kind of where we started. We're a lot further along in this now. But you can kind of see here like how many lands are essentially going in. Here's the resources moving in and out now. So this is sort of where we started to make sure everything was moving correctly within the model, which it is. And then you're able to then go a lot deeper down the rabbit hole to start working on all the individual different personas and things like that. But this is the tool that we're using, which I mentioned. It's called Machination. So a lot of the big Web3 games that are being built on other chains are using this now. This is going to be the future of play to earn
I'd say that's
projects.
amazing. That is so awesome.
Project
You're playing your game like before it even starts to make sure it's working with an audience. That's awesome. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so it's exciting, man. Like, I mean, this is going to be a really great tool for us, and I think it's going to be, quite honestly, what I think is going to separate us from a lot of the projects on Wax that are not using this tool, because again, it just enables us to stay, in the zone to make sure we can keep the economy on track. Because as you said, if it tips and it gets out of control, then we're just going to be the same as everybody else and people are just going to be pissed. So this is kind of why, we made that investment. And so, a lot of the guys that are in our project, and when we've had heavy corporate experience, corporate backgrounds, we worked for major brands. And so, our philosophy coming into this project was to use a lot of the skills that we had taken from our careers. And that was, we're not experts in everything. We're not trying to be experts in everything, but we wanted to go find the people that are and bring them into the project, so that we can have a collective group of individuals that are strong in some core competency. And so for Machinations, this is their bread and butter. Web3 experts, in game modeling. So it was an easy decision for us. We're going through the same process right now with a third-party DeFi group that's backed by Animoca to come in and handle all of our DeFi stuff. That's just kind of the approach that we're taking. We're running this as a business. This is not a hobby for us, and hopefully people are starting to see that in the way we're going to market.
Yeah, definitely. I really do like the loops, and I haven't seen that before, so that's kind of cool to see something new. And like I was kind of saying earlier, one of the things I like about your game is the creator credits, because that's kind of really an original take on it. And if people are joining and they haven't seen the tutorial, which I'll link at the end of this video, you can basically get cards and your rarity will be burned. So if you have a common, you could burn it for, say, 1 creator credit. The higher the rarity, the more that credits it's worth. And then you can use those credits to purchase other cards. I have to say I have some epics and legendaries, and they also do some other things, and it's really hard for me to burn them. So it's like, do you burn them or what? If you were playing right now, do you burn epics and legendaries for land and buildings?
Yeah, I mean, and so just to make sure your users understand, so the cards aren't technically being burned, so they are just living in a Novo Treasury vault. So I mean, just to clarify why that is that we are a business here in the United States, and so we had a lot of conversations with legal counsel before we even started about NFTs and burn, not to burn. SEC regulations are coming down, and they're going to be coming down hard on NFTs. And so there was some foreshadowing from our attorneys around that to not burn anything, because we would run the risk of us being treated as a security if we did. So that's kind of why the decision was made that when you transfer your cards, as you said, Kev, like there's going to be a creator credit denomination based on the rarity, but it's going into a Novo Treasury vault. Cards are not getting reissued or anything like that. The only time we would reissue them is if there was some sort of give back to the community. But other than that, that's kind of where they're going to live. So I just wanted to clarify that. But on the epic and legendary stuff, those high end cards, epic and up, will reduce cooldowns in the game. So your skilled workers, and we'll get into that in a second, will need to rest at the end of their shift once they've run a shift in a building. And so because of that, just like most games, whether you played Clash of Clans or whatever, any type of game that's got some sort of time element, that cooldown reduction is going to be everything, because you want to get your guy sort of back in the mix again to start earning. I personally would be keeping my high end stuff. From the collector standpoint too, it's like I think holding those higher end cards are going to be great value in the future. And I think once the game kind of gets up and running too, and people really understand the benefit of those cooldowns, I think, and again, I'm just speculating, so this is not financial advice, that those NFTs probably will go up in value as well, because I think there will be quite a bit of scarcity on them. And as you said, they're just cool, and there's a ton of animation and sound on them as well. So I don't really want to get rid of them. So that's kind of my honest answer.
Yeah, the artwork's amazing, especially as you get up into those higher tiers, because you got all that animation and the cool colors. And it's even
Yeah,
harder to part with then, because it's like, I got a legendary on one of my first packs, and I got really
that's
lucky
awesome.
with that. And I was like, do I burn it? I get to land, and I'm like, I really like this card. I'm like, I'm just gonna hold on to it. So, and I
Yeah.
kind of feel like I've become a hoarder in that game and not purchase many things because I don't want to burn anything.
No, I mean it's hard, man. Like I feel you. The artwork's incredible, and I mean I personally I've used. We're going to play the game a little bit. Just we have to really just to make sure things are functioning as we hope they will be. So, but I've used commons and uncommons quite honestly. So I've bought as a customer. I've bought sort of producers and writers packs. Just because I know I'm going to get more of the stuff that I'm okay parting with. And so I collected a full set of commons and uncommons, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like I've got those kind of put aside, and that's for me. But yeah, I mean, I think I love set chasing too. So that's just the collector in me, and obviously I'm very optimistic on where we're going to go with the IP of Novopangea. So I mean, that's another big piece of our roadmap and plans, is that we want to turn Novopangea into an animated show off chain, and we want to use that as an on ramp for people to the chain. And we plan to do a bigger story mode voting around the story and all that kind of stuff as a whole separate project in a bigger way. We've kind of dabbled in it a little bit with some voting and things like that on at the start of our project, but that whole piece is a massive idea that we have that we want to do, and we have a lot of connections because that's a world we've come from, so we know how to execute it, and we think that's going to be a big piece of our growth in the future.
And I know you keep mentioning, you said you're a card collector. When back in the day, oh man, I still have thousands and thousands of baseball and basketball cards at my parents' house.
Man, I
They
got
must
so
love
many
that.
boxes, man. I've got floor to ceiling, man, of boxes.
Yeah, the
And
5,000 count.
yeah, I tell you, man, I enjoyed the ride through COVID. I had a lot of good old stuff that I was able to pull from the archives and do pretty well on. So the card market went bananas during COVID. It's kind of cooled off now, but yeah, it was pretty wild, man. So there was some, a lot of stuff from the old junk wax era that got pretty expensive. So it was interesting.
Nice. And you mentioned that you wanted to go through and show some of the UI and kind of give them a sneak peek of what's to come.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome.
Yeah, let's do it, man. All right. So again, just prefacing, this is not final. So there's still some changes that are going to be made, and there's some things that are not quite correct on here. So don't throw stones. This is kind of what the game UI is going to look like. So this is Earth Realm, just to preface for anybody that's not familiar with Novopangea. So it's going to happen fundamentally, and we'll back up a step here, is when you come into the gameplay for the first time. So when you come into the game for the first time, you'll be presented with the Novo map, right? So here are all the different realms. You've got, light realm, shadow, earth, time as well is right here. Sorry, I missed it. Space, and then water's up here. Sorry, it's a little cut off because this is just in a software we're using, but you'll get the vibe here. So you'll come in and you'll, select the realm that you want. So in this case, we do earth. And then you'll see kind of the districts, right? So these are the districts of the Earth realm. There's 100 districts per realm, and then there's 200 plots that are inside of a district. So you'll see kind of the districts that are going to be available when we start the game. They're not all going to be available because we haven't released all the land. So we've only released a smaller portion. So there was 2,000 plots of land per realm that were issued because we're really trying to control the pacing of how we release. So we need to see user growth and demand before we then just open it up to the next set of players, because otherwise there's just going to be ghost towns and it's going to be terrible for the game. It'll just fall over. So we needed to make sure that we had full districts. So that's kind of why we did it that way. So you can click in then and select, and see things here that you're kind of familiar with. This may actually not be here the start of the game because we are actually working on our own APIs right now. But if we end up using the other endpoints, that's kind of where you'll select it. But this is kind of the main screen, right? So this is, I've selected a district. It's the wrong realm icon, but this is kind of your district that you've chosen, and this is kind of what you'll see when you come in. Obviously, when you start for the first time, you won't see any buildings, of course, because most people will probably be selecting their plots. But this is essentially the game board. So it's really in a grid here. There's 200 plots of land. These brown square in the middle here, this is going to be where the district town hall lives. And there's also going to be the opportunity for the district to actually put some buildings here. So that's going to be a part of kind of where we're going to go with these district DAOs and the whole idea of the realm council and some of these other concepts that I know you touched on, Kev, in your other videos. But this is going to be really cool because taxation and those incomes that are collected by the district can then vote on potential maybe infrastructure things that they might want to add that might improve yields and other things, other efficiencies. So we're trying to take a lot of in real life economic things into this game. So a lot of us were big Sims players, SimCity, tycoon games over the years. I'm kind of dating myself now, but a lot of the economy-based things, Civilization, some of those type of games is what we've tried to introduce as inspiration for this. When you come in for the first time, you'll obviously, if you do have a land claim, so let's just assume you do, you'll want to select land, right? So you'll come in, you'll choose the plot you want, you'll click on the plot that you want, and then what it's going to do is any of the land claims that you've been picking up, so as you said, Kev, if you exchanged your credits for land, the game UI will pull that in now. So you can then, select any of them. So this will obviously have a number on it when the game's live, but then you can just, select. And then obviously the contract process will happen, and obviously it's going to live on chain. So it'll process either successfully or to fail, but you can just kind of close it out. And then essentially what will happen is this little fence will appear, and that is just indicating that the land's been taken now, right? So this will be yours. And from there, you've got some different decisions that you can now make in terms of if you are also a building owner now, like what is it that you want to do? There's a couple of different use cases that are happening here, and I'll just explain these. So you see here, there's kind of this cool little tree that's got numbers on the top. And so these are just random numbers at the minute. But what this is going to show when the game goes live, this will actually be represented in a price of Obsidian. So Obsidian is the main currency of the game, but this will be the rental price displayed here for this plot. So if I don't own land, let's just say, but I want to rent a plot from somebody, then I'll be able to see kind of what the rental prices are for these different, spots on the map. And then I can click on it. And again, if I do own a building, I can just select one of my mines, for example, and then I can just, add it, right? If I've already come in here and I've added one of my own buildings, or maybe I don't have a building but I have some skilled workers. Again, I can go through that same process of clicking on a building, and now it's going to pull in skilled workers that I have. So here are the cool Earthrealm skilled worker cards. The art is just incredible on these skilled worker cards.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw them, Kev, but yeah. So this will be where you'll now add your worker, right? So if you've got any workers in your inventory, you can go ahead and add them, right? So again, depending on what, if this is a third party type situation where you're wanting to put your worker into someone else's building, the wage, will be displayed here. And so workers essentially work for a 12-hour shift. So that's 12 actual hours in real time. And then they'll need to rest for 24 hours. So based on that lengthy rest period, that's where those high-end utility cards come into play, because that's going to be where you can reduce the cooldowns. And we'll be releasing another update of the white paper. I just did another update this week, Kev, so there's a whole bunch of new stuff in there. But the production yields and times and what it's going to cost to level up and those sort of things will be in the next update. So I just wanted to let you know that.
So Woke,
No,
if
go ahead,
you
man.
would say after the 12-hour shift they rest for 24 hours, at that point then do you find them a new place to work, or do they automatically go back to work at the same place?
Yeah, so what you'll need to do is find another job. So
Okay.
it's going to be constantly moving, where jobs are just going to be up and down constantly. So I think like that's what we're going to see as the game kind of evolves. I think players are going to start to decide how they want to be, how active they want to be, or versus how passive they want to be. So it's going to be extremely interesting. But if you're going to really go down that pathway of being more of the, hey, and this is obviously just, it's either strategy or dependent upon your budget. Skilled workers are going to be a really good pathway to get into the game. If you don't have a lot to spend, it's going to be 13 creator credits to get a skilled worker. So depending on what pathway you go, you can get a writer's pack for $20 still. That will guarantee you that you get a skilled worker. You may even get two if you get a good pull, or you could just, go and buy 13 commons on the secondary as well. It's probably going to cost you about $20, I think, depending on where it is right now. I think it's about $1.30 for a common or something. But that's going to be a way that you could get in the game. And so if you want to play that way, this won't be the icon, by the way, but you can come into this jobs postings UI, and this will be kind of where you can see jobs that are available. So you'll be able to see people that have posted their various buildings and what the wage in Obsidian is going to be. These are just placeholders, by the way. But here's kind of where you can then say, okay, cool, I can add my worker now. So once you click on, this will have a plot number here. This will show you as well if there are any workers, how many workers are actually going already in the shift. So you can see it's 0 of 3. You click on add worker, and then it takes you to the plot in the UI, and then you just add your worker again.
Your mouse isn't showing up. What you clicked, is that the 3 crates in the top left?
No, it's the flag right
The
here.
flag.
So this
Okay.
is really kind of, yeah. So this is going to be where you can go if you're going to be sort of a player that's going to be more of a renting from other players. So you'll see the land that's available for rent here, any jobs that are available. So this will be kind of your go-to UI
Okay.
if that's going to be sort of your path. The crates icon show you your inventory. Once you click on the crate, you can see your land inventory, your buildings inventory, your workers, and obviously this is all PvP stuff that's coming later. But this is kind of the base UI of the game. It's if anybody's actually played Zelda, it's pretty similar actually. But yeah, so we've taken an inspiration from a lot of games. But that's kind of where this is just very well organized and very clean and simple, of where you can just come in, and obviously you'll be able to use the scroller on the side here to kind of look through all your different plots. A lot of players right now are purchasing inventory from multiple realms. So I know this question comes up a lot, so I just thought it'd be good to address it. So if you are actually holding a Shadow Realm land plot, for example, you won't be able to use it until after MVP launches. So after the beta launches, it won't be long after it launches. So I don't want people thinking it's like, oh, I'm going to be waiting for 6 months or something. That won't be the case. It's going to be a very fast release after the game goes. But we're introducing realm permits. So again, just kind of an in real life type of element where you'll have to actually have a permit for the Shadow Realm. But once you have it, then you can put your land down, your buildings down, and all that good stuff. And you can essentially then start business. So think of it like, doing business in another state or another country. There's obviously permits and paperwork you'd have to do to run a business there. So we're taking that sort of similar approach with the permit. And this is really where I think personally, where the game's really, really going to get going, because it's going to be the catalyst then of when you can start to move resources around back and forth, cross realms and all this kind of stuff. And the idea of it is really building to this, and that's going to be where you have weapons and armor and all this cool stuff. And so you can move, materials, right? That you're producing. So I might be producing some materials in the Shadow Realm, for example, and I might then bring them over into the Earth Realm, drop them into a trading post, and then I can take them to a weaponry or an armory and craft it for something that's going to give me a buff or a nerf or something against the Shadow Realm player if I go against them in PvP. So it's that type of stuff of where I think the creativity is going to really come through. But this was sort of the whole genesis of economy mode, was we wanted to put these foundational pieces down first, so that those that are kind of interested in maybe running their own type of economy ecosystem, can get all these foundational pieces, because later players that are more into PvP and stuff, they'll be purchasing from everybody that's in the game right now.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was gonna ask that question. Like, if I'm like, I started on Time Realm, and I told everyone Time Realm, and in my video, after it went live, the Time Realm just got hit, and I'm like, where did the Time Realm go?
All right. Well, we know who we can blame now, Kev, as to why Time Realm is so popular. But yeah, no, for sure, man.
So then I was like, do I switch? Do I keep going? And so I guess it's kind of good to own a little bit of everything. If you were going to start, say you're kind of like an average player that's not trying to be passive, but try to get into the game a bit. If you were going to buy one realm, how would you start? Would you get like 3 plots and like one building, one mine, or?
Yeah, look, I mean, I'll and again, obviously, I know everybody's got different budgets and all that kind of stuff, so I want to be sensitive to that. But if you do have the means, awesome. And if you do, yes, to your point, I mean, I really would be trying to control my own ecosystem, because what's going to happen every single day, and this is just the byproduct again of running a sound economy, is that in order for these games to not become hyperinflationary, you have to have what they call drains or sinks for the resources. So, and if you don't have enough, that's when things start to tip. So, obviously, every day there's going to be drains. So, for example, with skilled workers, once I complete a shift, the worker needs to eat food. So they're going to need so you'll need to have some food resource in your storage so that your skilled worker can consume some of the food, and then the rest period begins, right? So immediately right there, if I've got skilled workers, well, I probably want to have a food building, because then I'm just in complete control of my production for here, right? I can keep some of it for myself. Maybe I transfer some of it, in the exchange for obsidian, so I can sort of sell those materials if I want to. So if you click on the store icon in the bottom left, it takes you to the Novo exchange where you'll be able to sell. So if I've got too much food, for example, I could sell some of it for obsidian. So just things like that. Energy is another big one, of course, because you're going to need whatever building you're running, you need energy. So the energy mines are super important. And then the building materials are also important, because you're going to have just like a daily running cost of energy and materials, right? So materials are kind of almost like your maintenance expense of running a building. So the three resources that are getting produced out of each building all have a role to play. When it becomes time to upgrade, you're going to need materials. If you want to upgrade a materials building or an energy mine, and you're going to need food if you want to upgrade a food building, plus obsidian. Controlling your own ecosystem, I think personally, is the way to go if you can do it. I would get one land plot for each building type, and I would just have each of the pieces, because then I'm in complete control. And then I'd have enough workers, obviously, as well, to be running in shifts. Have some decent cards as well. I know not everybody can afford a legendary, but it's why the producer packs, I think, are such great value if you can afford it, because you are going to pull a couple of bangers in those packs typically. So we're seeing a lot of epics typically get pulled in every pack, and then you can put those kind of in your bag, to use for cooldown reduction, or you just might have a deep bench, of skilled workers that you can kind of rotate. So it's just all of those sort of things, will play a factor just based on what you can afford, I guess. So that's how I would play for sure if you can go that route. If you can't, and you're just sort of more low budget and you just kind of want to maybe buy one or two things, there's sort of a couple of things I would suggest, and either buy a plot of land, because you can passively rent it out, like as you see here. The only real cost that you're going to have is some materials to actually put it up for rent. So there's a drain there for landowners. So kind of think of it like you're preparing your land for rent, or getting things kind of tightened up and ready for rent. And so that's kind of like a rental drain there. So there's one way as well. You can be sort of a passive player. Or if you want to be more of an active player, but more sort of low budget, then the skilled worker route is a great way as well, because you can get a worker cheap, and the only thing really that you need to be mindful of is your food resource. With the skilled worker, you get paid from the other player in Obsidian, right? So I mean, as we saw in the UI, there's a wage, right, that other player has to pay you. So as soon as that contract is executed at the start of the shift, so if I was renting from you, for example, Kev, so I mean, if you've posted the job, I click on add my worker to your mine, then you're going to transfer 20 obsidian to me right at the start of the shift, and then the shift runs its course. So if I'm sitting on some obsidian, then I might then go over to the exchange, transfer it for some food, and then I've got, some food in my bank, and away you go, right? So then you could start accumulating some resources, and eventually sell some of your obsidian and maybe purchase something else. So just a couple of recommendations.
Gotcha. From like my standpoint, what I would be thinking then is I'd want, one energy, one building materials, and one resource. If I have those three on three different plots, that pretty much covers being self-sufficient.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it really does because, yeah, at that point, you've got all three materials. So as we mentioned, one of the mechanics that's going to be great for this game is going to be leveling up. So this is kind of where the DeFi layer really comes in, because you're going to have a town hall that's going to be sitting here. So obviously, if you played Clash of Clans, you're familiar with the whole town hall concept. No, the Novo token is going to be the governance token of the Novo game. Everybody in the district will need to stake Novo to the town hall, and that will give you some Novo rewards as well. But it also is a game mechanic so that everybody in the district can level up. Once you have reached the required thresholds, and you'll be able to kind of see it in the profile UI of kind of how the district's tracking. Once that's met, then everybody in the district can now level up if they have the resources to do it. So the other cool part of that too is like these NFT assets that you have will dynamically change, once you level up. So it's not like you have to craft them and then lose the asset. The asset number stays the same. We're using mutable data, so the image will change, content here will change. So it's kind of like really true progression of your asset. So the more time you put into the game, the asset's going to appreciate because the level's going to increase. If at some point in the future you want to exit, you'll have assets that have appreciated in value because you might have level 4 or 5s or something at that point and can sell them for a lot more. And somebody that wants to kind of get a jump start, could potentially purchase your assets and then move into a district that's already at level 5. So it's going to be really cool.
Is that something that can be sold on second market? Like, does the NFT upgrade automatically like that, or is it within the
Yes.
chain, within the game?
So you'll be able to, yeah. So you can pull these assets out, right? So I mean, if you've just reached a point where you've just said, hey, look, I'm just kind of done and I want to exit, then yeah, you'll be able to, exit the game, and these NFTs will be available, to be sold on the secondary. So if they're in some sort of contract in the game, you've actually got them, inside of a rental contract or something like that, then obviously no, you won't have access to the asset to sell it on Atomic Hub if it's already in play. But just like, in Farmers World and those other games, like if you're not using an axe, for example, you could sell it at any time.
Gotcha. Yeah, what I mean is kind of like, I'll give you an example. NFT Panda. If you start sending your panda, you rank it up, but then when you pull it out of the game, the rank's gone. So I was wondering, like you said, these NFTs are ranking up. Are they, if you pull them out and they're ranked up, are they still ranked up, or do they go back to the default?
No, they stay up.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
so that's going to be the whole piece of it, right? So it was kind of like, for us when we sort of, it was one of the reasons why we were so excited to build a game on the blockchain was because it was, everybody was really selling this whole premise of, well, when you play Fortnite or World of Warcraft and you invest all this time in your character and then you're making all these microtransactions into the game and into your character and you're leveling them up, but you get no benefit from it in terms of that asset, right? It's all gone to Activision. For us, we were kind of like, well, how do we actually make this a reality? If you're going to level it up and, just like everything, there is an expiration potentially, right? So if you have progressed and then leveled up, then you should get the benefit of that. And that's what's going to happen with these assets.
That's awesome. And I also love the fact you keep mentioning Clash Royale or Clash of Clans, because this channel was started on Clash Royale and Clash of Clans. So my first 50,000 subscribers can definitely relate to that portion.
Well, yeah, I mean, if anybody's in Discord and you want to just go deep on Clash, so Yo Creati, who's our lead operations and developer, is a massive Clash player. If you want to go talk Clash and Disco with him, feel free.
Nice. Yeah, I even have some Clash Royale figures behind me on my shelf.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, with the Fortnite kind of idea with the skins, I have played Fortnite since the beginning. I have the most valuable and rarest skin, and I can't do anything with it. But if they would ever say, "Let's change this to NFTs," I bet you I could probably get $50,000 to $100,000 for it because there's like barely any of them, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and
No,
that's
for sure.
Renegade Raider.
Yeah. No, for sure, mate. Like, and I think that's the whole premise of what's driving Web3. And I think it's where the opportunity is for games is for the players to really benefit from the investment of not just monetary, but time as well. And I think it will be interesting to see
Yeah,
how the major studios kind of pivot into that. I don't see any sort of dramatic change from their business model. I see them probably more acquiring things versus making some sort of massive change to Fortnite or anything on EA or
yeah.
something. But
They already
I
said
just
for
can't see it.
Fortnite. They
Yeah,
said for Fortnite they won't do it. However, Epic Games did say they will allow that in their game store, where Steam said no. So that's going to kind of be
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, and honestly, I think a lot of it, the challenge for these companies in the US is just going to be the regulation that's coming.
Mm,
Because I mean, I think just like everything in life, the taxation department, wants to get their hands on more, and the government, the regulatory stuff that's going to come down, I think is going to be pretty heavy. I think a lot of them are just giving it a wide berth at the minute until they see how things play out. It's just my speculation, but yeah, I think we'll kind of see what happens. But nonetheless, that's the path we're on right now. So we're excited for our players, and I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
well, I'm really excited for the game, and now I have an idea of what I need to purchase. So I'll definitely go that route and get ready to go. I don't know if I'm going to stick with the time realm though. Maybe I'll kind of save that for my outposts in the future and switch it up. Who knows? We'll kind of see. But well,
Yeah, well, I know a few time players have moved to Earth. Earth was kind of, I would say, not from the quality of the art, definitely, but just for whatever reason, it wasn't as popular as the other realms. But a lot of time players have switched into that because it's just a lot easier. It's been a lot easier to get the buildings. They've typically lagged behind the rest when we've issued them. So just food for thought. Just yeah, it might be a better move right now if your heart's not really set on something. Sort of go where the inventory is at the minute is probably a good move.
yeah, I think I'll check the prices and kind of go from there. But Woke, I
Yeah.
definitely want to thank you so much for joining me today and going through and showing me the first look. I'm really excited. It has really blown me away, and I really like the angle you're going for. And yeah, like I said, I will be playing, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, no, thanks, Kev. I appreciate the time, and yeah, we're happy to help out in any way we can. New players that are coming in, if they want to join, our Discord channel, whatever. And obviously, I know you and I sort of are chatting a lot offline, online, and as well. So, I mean, if there's anything I can do to jump into your community Discord as well and answer questions, just let me know. I'm happy to do that too.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll have the link for Novopangea Discord down below, and I'll have my Discord as well. And we have our own Novopangea room in my Discord, so any questions you can kind of target there. I'm excited for the future of this. I know people don't usually like to put a date on things, but do you have any idea when it'll be able to be played?
Yeah, June 11th. June 11th. So there's a hard and fast date for you.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so June 11th is when MVP is going to drop this coming Thursday. So that would be it's the 12th of April today. So Thursday this week, 14th, is when the food facilities are going to launch. So they'll be available in the marketplace. So if you've got creator credits, you'll be able to grab some food facilities this week. And then skilled workers will probably drop at the start of May. It's going to be a lot of skilled workers. There'll be, because essentially we've got 750 buildings per realm that have been released so far. So there'll be a max capacity of 3 skilled workers per building for level one. So, it's around 2,250, I think it is, skilled workers per realm. So that's a lot of assets that need to kind of get sold through. So I expect we'll see a lot of most people's creator credit balances will probably be diminished once skilled workers are released. And then we plan to release the game on June 11, and then residential buildings will be right behind the launch. I know we didn't get into that, but essentially it's the first add-on to the game where when your skilled workers are finished and that resting period happens, they'll actually need to go to a residential building to rest. And that's just going to be another drain in the game and another opportunity for other players to get something different in the building. But that will essentially, residential buildings will almost complete kind of round one, because most of that land will be assigned to either these resource buildings or a residential building. And that will be kind of the first catalyst to see where we're at from a growth perspective. And when, if we kind of see these are maxing out now quickly, then we can go to stage two, which will be then releasing a next allotment of land plots, more mines, more buildings again, and away we go for round two, because we've got new players knocking on the door. So we're going to be monitoring the secondary market very, very closely, because we do not want these assets turning into a runaway train. And that's important too, because we don't want a situation, knowing that we are going to be releasing more NFTs, and we've been very open about that with everyone. We don't want to see someone get caught in kind of that middle ground where, kind of like what we saw with some of these other games, where there's this massive over acceleration too fast, and then more assets get released, and then the market collapses down again, and that poor person just got caught holding the bag. So we want to make sure that that's avoided as well.
Well, again, I want to thank you so much for all the info. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kev.
And Novopangea, I'm going to put at the end here for the tutorial. Definitely go check it out. I will be playing, and I will be either in the time realm or Earth. I don't know now.
Awesome, man.
All right. Thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kev. Cheers, mate.